Hello, everyone. My name is Maureen, and I'm really happy to be with you tonight. Many of you I saw just recently at the summit, and I can't see you tonight, but I know you're there. And I'm just happy that we have this chance to practice together and to feel the presence and know that the presence is being felt all over the world. So let us start by taking a moment to surround and protect ourselves with the love and the grace of God. Protect your space, protect yourself, protect the message. Okay, Nasi Navarikara. Okay, tonight I am going to read my step, which is step 282. And then after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience of the step. So I'm going to read it first. It's step 282. I will learn to accept the responsibility of carrying knowledge in the world. Carrying knowledge in the world requires responsibility. Your responsibility is to follow knowledge and to learn to express knowledge adequately and purposefully. In this, your human abilities will need to be cultivated and elevated. Discernment and all other qualities of value within yourself will need to be cultivated as well. For you must learn to express that which you carry. You must learn to follow it and become a worthy vehicle for it. This is the true meaning of all individual development. This is where individual development has genuine purpose. This is where your growth and advancement have direction as well. Therefore, allow yourself to experience the meaning of today's idea. Allow yourself to accept responsibility. It is not a weight upon your shoulders, it is a rite of passage for you. And in this, all things that have confused and frustrated you within yourself will be given a new and purposeful application. Realize that knowledge carries responsibility. In this, you need to treat it with the seriousness that it requires, and yet with this seriousness, you will receive the greatness and the peace that it will render to you. Over time, you will become a very, very finely tuned vehicle for knowledge in the world. In this, all things that require development will find development, and all things which merely hinder your progress will be relinquished. In your deeper practices in stillness today, recognize that you have a responsibility to cultivate your faculties of mind as a student of knowledge. Exercise these responsibilities and do not drift away into imagination. Engage yourself as a student of knowledge according to the requirements of your preparation, for you are now becoming a person of responsibility and a person of power. So I want to talk a little bit about this and then we'll go into a meditation. I highly recommend volunteering to do this because as a result of doing this, I really was able to be with this step in a way that it revealed much more to me than it would have if I had not volunteered. So I began my what I'd call dissection of this step. I don't know, sometimes it's referred to as a deep dive, but anyway, first thing I did was I looked at the title, the first sentence. I will learn to accept the responsibility of carrying knowledge in the world. And I thought, what is this telling me? And I read it and I thought, it's not saying I accept responsibility of carrying knowledge. it's saying, I will learn to accept the responsibility of carrying knowledge. So it's an intention to agree to begin to learn to accept the responsibility of carrying knowledge in the world. And so it's a process. It's not like you jump into the deep end of the pool right away. It has stages, and it's a process. So then I thought, well, how do I learn to accept the responsibility? And I went down to one of the sentences that talks about cultivating. Discernment and all the other qualities and values within yourself will need to be cultivated. And I was like, cultivated. That word kind of stood out for me. And I've learned some things about permaculture. I'm a gardener, and I learned some things about cultivating through my study of permaculture. And one of the first things that they tell you to do in permaculture is to observe your environment. And I mean, that was like one of the things that Steps is telling us to do, and the new message is telling us to do, is to be observant. Go up in the watchtower, be still and observe. And it's like you have to observe your environment, your around your house in permaculture, because you have to select the right place for the right plant. And it's like, if you don't put the right plant in the right place, it might not grow, or it might grow, but it won't thrive. So when Marshall has told us about, he's talked about purpose, place, and people. So this, to me, was about, this observing was about, am I in the right place? Am I, and then the other part of permaculture is that you need to, and you have to identify what the plant is, but then you have to feed it. You have to feed the plant and watch for its health. So that's one of the pillars that we have about the health. And then, I mean, when the other thing is, we have to be aware of, we have to watch it very carefully. We're back to observation, because some of these plants will end up getting bugs or whatever. Anyway, there was this whole thing about gardening that just took on a dimension that showed me that what I do in gardening is really what I'm doing, you know, in Steps to Knowledge and being a student of knowledge. And we have to be ready for, one time in my garden, we had hailstorm, and all my good work, you know, pretty much all my little plants were no leaves, just stems in the garden. So, I mean, and there was nothing I could do about it except to be patient and plant again and try again. And which again is something that we have to do as we're moving through and learning how to be with knowledge. So then I looked at the word responsibility. And in the past, I mean, I've looked at responsibility and I have thought that it was a weight upon my shoulders. And it's like, ooh, you know, it's something really heavy that we have to do. And I don't know if I'm ready for that and all that kind of thing. But this step says it's not a weight upon your shoulders. It's a rite of passage. So I'm like, well, what is a rite of passage? I mean, I know I've heard the rites of passage, you know, going from childhood to adolescence to adulthood. But what is really, I wanted to know a little bit more about what a rite of passage is. And I looked it up, and it said a rite of passage is a particular type of ritual conducted to mark an important transition in somebody's life. It involves a separation from an old way of being, a period of transition, and then reincorporation into a new stage of being. And I thought, this is what we're doing. I mean, we are going from an old way of being, and by saying that we're willing to learn to accept the responsibility of carrying knowledge in the world. And as we begin that, we're making a transition. We're in a transition period where we're learning to be with knowledge. We're learning to express that which we carry and becoming a worthy vehicle for it. So we actually, all of the traits that we're learning, which are things like discretion, forgiveness, compassion, love, restraint, strength, and patience, I mean, those are all valuable aspects of knowledge, being with knowledge that gets developed in knowledge. So anyway, where do I go from here? Oh, I know what. The next thing I want us to know, well, how do I know I'm on the right path? If I'm doing this, if I'm going to agree to do this. And then I found this passage from the new message on fulfillment. It said, if you are living a life according to this purpose and mission, even if it has not yet been fully revealed to you, you will feel a sense of integrity in your life. You will feel a sense of abiding purpose, and you will experience grace. So what about if you're not doing it? How are you going to know? So if you are not living this life, if you are not close to living this life, then you will feel confusion, anxiety, frustration, anger, resentment, and you may attach yourself to radical ideas, politics, or religion. You may associate yourself with radical groups. You may give yourself to political causes. You may immerse yourself in addictions or aberrant behavior. But your fundamental problem is you are not aligned with the purpose that has brought you into the world, a purpose that not only knowledge, the deeper intelligence within you knows and holds for you. So I wish I could go into some of the other things that I've discovered, but it just has revealed so much, and it's given me the inspiration to continue this dissecting of my steps as I go on in my practice of steps to knowledge. So let's enter 30 minutes of stillness, and I'll see you on the other side. Nasi Navarikra. And now while we're in this space, I want to read from the Messenger's Calling. All right. And now, while we're in this space, I would like to read from the Messenger's Calling. God has sent a messenger into the world. Sent from the angelic assembly, he is. He is the first messenger to come since the days of Muhammad, and another will not be sent for a very long time. His role is so important. He is bringing something into the world that has never been brought here before, continuing the great series of revelations brought to humanity at critical turning points in its history and evolution. He comes at a time of great and growing need as humanity is facing a world of immense environmental change and all of the political and economic upheaval that will result. He is coming at a time when humanity stands at the threshold of a universe full of intelligent life. He comes at a time when humanity must prepare. His calling to the world is that the world must receive this. All nations, cultures, and religious civilizations. He's calling to you. For those who can hear, for those who can receive, for those who realize that a new revelation must come. That makes me think of my step. I will learn to accept the responsibility of carrying knowledge in the world. Religion has fallen into disarray and is conflicted within itself and between its primary expressions. It has become a tool of the state and a tool of those who seek power and domination over others. The messenger is calling for you to hear, to respond, to find this, to receive this, to set aside your judgments and your preferences and your admonitions so that you can receive the blessings of the Creator. Given anew now under a very different set of circumstances as humanity is about to face its greatest trials. Not everyone will be able to respond at first, but there are many in the world today who are ready to hear this. From all nations, all cultures, from all faith traditions, there are many who are ready to hear this. He is calling to you to receive, to learn, and to take the steps to knowledge, the deeper knowledge that God has placed within you, that was placed within you before you even came into the world, to guide you, to protect you, to lead you to a greater life of purpose and fulfillment in the world. You cannot give yourself to these things. You must hear the messenger's call to you. God has sent him to be the recipient and the primary representative of God's new revelation for the world. Do not dispute this on religious grounds, for you cannot determine what God will do or when God will speak. You cannot determine that another messenger cannot be sent into the world. Only arrogance and foolishness would make such a proclamation. Only one has been sent, for this is the way of things. Only one has been sent, and he is in the world, and he is calling to you. He is calling to you in his voice, and he is calling to you through the revelation itself, which is being made available to the world as quickly as possible. The messenger is a humble man. He has no position in the world. He has been through a preparation unlike anything you can imagine for a greater calling and a greater mission here on earth. But he must speak to the people of earth and reach as many as he can in his remaining years. This is his calling to you. This is your challenge. Can you face the light of revelation? Can you be receptive to God's new revelation for the world? Can you take it to your heart and apply it in your life? For it will provide so much for you right now in everything you are doing and everything you need. God has given the revelation for the world, and yet it provides the restoration for each person who can receive it and apply it. in their lives. Only the genius of the Creator could do this. Only the genius of the Creator could speak to people of every nation, every culture, and every faith tradition through the new revelation. The blessing is upon you. The messenger is calling for you to receive it. The messenger is calling for you to be truly honest and receptive. The messenger is calling for you to set aside your beliefs, your admonitions, so that you can be receptive to the revelation. If you cannot do this, then God cannot help you. God cannot assist you. For God is still present in the world, and God's revelation to humanity has now come again. And that's from The Messenger's Calling. I think that there's going to be a link for you in the chat. Okay, now let's take a moment to be with the messenger. He has gone through great physical expense and personal sacrifice to bring this message into the world. It is a gift of enormous importance. So let us send him stamina and courage and strength and our gratitude for all that he has done and will be doing in the future. Nasi Navarikram. Well, in my humanness, I left out a few things, but I would like to invite you to consider the parallels between gardening and being a farmer, and the parallels between that and being a student, and all of the things that we need to cultivate. And also, I would like you to think about rites of passage, because the final rite of passage is reincorporation. So once we get through this transition from our old life and we're becoming a new person through our transition, there is a reincorporation into a new way of being. And I left that part out, and it's very important. Anyway, I am privileged to be with you. I want to thank you for coming. I know a lot of you are in the middle of the night, and I'm honored that you would be here. And I'm very grateful to be part of this group. So I hope to see you next week. Blessings and love and good news to all of you. May you be safe.